As families across the country wrapped up their Thanksgiving celebrations, Mother Nature was quietly preparing a surprise of her own for the post-holiday weekend. The air was filled with anticipation, not just for the journey home, but for the weather that was about to unfold. While many hoped for a smooth return, the atmosphere was already shifting, hinting at the dramatic turn events would soon take. Just as millions of Americans were packing up leftovers and saying their goodbyes, a massive winter storm began to brew. The timing couldn't have been worse, right at the peak of one of the busiest travel periods of the entire year. Highways, airports, and train stations were already bustling with people eager to get home, but now, all eyes turned to the sky and the latest weather updates. The threat of delays and cancellations loomed large, casting a shadow over the holiday spirit. This wasn't just a minor flurry or a passing inconvenience. Meteorologists across the country sounded the alarm, warning of a major winter system stretching from Des Moines to Chicago and deep into Illinois and Indiana. The storm's projected path covered hundreds of miles, threatening to blanket entire regions in snow and ice. Local news stations urged residents to prepare for hazardous conditions, and emergency services braced for a challenging weekend ahead. The timing of the storm was especially brutal. It struck just as roads and airports were packed to capacity, with travelers hoping to beat the rush. Instead, they found themselves facing gridlocked highways, long lines at check-in counters, and the constant uncertainty of whether their plans would be upended by the weather. For many, the journey home became a test of patience and resilience. The storm's power came from a classic winter recipe. Frigid air plunging down from the north collided with warm, moisture-laden air from the south. The result was a potent mix of heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain. Roads quickly became slick and treacherous, while visibility dropped as wind-driven snow whipped across open fields and city streets alike. Even seasoned winter drivers found themselves challenged by the rapidly changing conditions. For travelers, the prospect of getting stranded was no longer just a possibility. It became a very real concern. Cars spun out on icy roads, flights were delayed or canceled, and train schedules were thrown into chaos. Emergency crews worked tirelessly to assist those in need, while families huddled together in terminals hoping for updates and a safe way home. As Friday dawned, the first flakes began to fall across the upper Midwest, quickly confirming that this was no ordinary storm. Within hours, neighborhoods were transformed into winter wonderlands, but beneath the beauty lay a serious threat. The relentless snowfall and biting winds made travel nearly impossible in some areas, and communities braced for what was shaping up to be a historic weather event. In the end, nearly 40 states felt the storm's impact, a stark reminder that, no matter how much we plan, nature still calls the shots during winter. From the Midwest to the East Coast, the holiday weekend became a story of resilience, adaptation, and the unpredictable power of the season. The storm carved a relentless path through the heart of America. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois faced the heaviest snow, compounding what was already on the ground. Some areas braced for up to 18 more inches, making travel nearly impossible. Major corridors like I-80 became treacherous, with ice and sleet adding to the danger. Even cities outside the snow zone felt the ripple effect. Flights delayed or canceled due to chaos in major hubs. The storm's scale was staggering, disrupting travel nationwide. It was a perfect storm, hitting the nation's transport network at the worst possible time. All eyes turned to Chicago as the storm zeroed in. Forecasts predicted up to a foot of snow, more than 4 times the city's November average. As snow fell relentlessly, the skyline vanished and streets slowed to a crawl. Snowplows struggled to keep up, and the city ground to a halt. O'Hare and Midway airports descended into chaos, stranding thousands. Heavy, wet snow threatened power lines and trees, raising concerns about outages. By the storm's end, Chicago was buried under a thick, heavy blanket. The record books were rewritten, and the city was left with a powerful reminder of winter's force. Thanksgiving 2025 became a storm Chicagoans won't soon forget. What made this storm a monster? Why did it stand out from the countless winter storms that sweep across the country every year? To understand, we have to look at the unique combination of factors that came together in just the right way, at just the right time. This wasn't just another snowstorm, it was a perfect storm of meteorological ingredients, each amplifying the other to create something truly extraordinary. It was all about the ingredients, The atmosphere was primed for chaos, with several key elements converging. First, a surge of warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico streamed northward, carrying with it an abundance of moisture. This set the stage for heavy precipitation, but it was only the beginning. A southern track let it soak up Gulf moisture, allowing the storm to gather strength as it moved eastward. Unlike typical winter storms that often follow a more northern path, this one hugged the southern states, pulling in even more humidity and energy. Then, as the storm system moved north, it collided with a mass of frigid Arctic air plunging down from Canada. The result? Heavy, wet snow that fell in thick, relentless bands, blanketing everything in its path. The snowflakes were large and dense, making shoveling and plowing even more difficult. Along the southern edge of the storm, temperatures hovered right around the freezing mark. This delicate balance between cold and just above freezing air created a treacherous mix of precipitation. Instead of just snow, many areas saw a dangerous band of ice and sleet. Roads became skating rinks, power lines sagged under the weight of ice, and trees snapped, causing widespread power outages and hazardous conditions for anyone venturing outside. The jet stream, a fast-moving ribbon of air high above the earth, dipped unusually far south. This acted like a barrier, trapping the storm and preventing it from moving on quickly. As a result, the storm stalled over the region, prolonging the snowfall for hours, sometimes more than a full day in certain areas. Neighborhoods watched as snow continued to fall, hour after hour, with no sign of letting up. Instead of moving quickly, it dumped snow relentlessly, burying cars, blocking roads, and making travel nearly impossible. Some places saw more than a foot of snow in just a matter of hours, with totals climbing even higher as the storm lingered. The ground was already cold and hard from earlier storms that had passed through in the weeks before. This meant that new snow didn't melt. It simply piled up, layer upon layer, making the situation even more severe. The region was primed for this main event. Trees, power lines, and infrastructure were already stressed, and the relentless snowfall pushed them to the breaking point. For many, it was the most intense winter weather they'd ever experienced. The result was a slow-moving, moisture-laden system that delivered record-breaking snow totals and widespread disruption. Airports shut down, highways closed, and emergency crews worked around the clock to keep up with the relentless pace of the storm. It was a meteorological behemoth, an event that will be remembered for years to come, not just for its strength, but for the way it brought entire communities to a standstill and reminded us all of the power of nature. As the winter storm barreled across the country, it collided with the busiest travel day of the year, creating a perfect storm of chaos in airports nationwide. Travelers who had planned for weeks, even months, to reunite with loved ones found themselves suddenly at the mercy of the weather. The anticipation and excitement of the holiday season quickly turned to anxiety and confusion as flight after flight was delayed or canceled. Airport terminals, already packed with holiday crowds, became scenes of mounting frustration and uncertainty. When O'Hare International Airport, one of the nation's busiest hubs, was forced to shut down, the impact was felt far beyond Chicago. The ripple effect was immediate and severe. Flights were canceled from coast to coast, stranding travelers in cities hundreds or even thousands of miles away. The interconnected nature of air travel meant that a single airport's closure could disrupt the entire national network, leaving passengers and airlines scrambling to adjust. In total, thousands of flights were scrapped in just a matter of hours. For many passengers, this meant being stuck in unfamiliar cities, with little information about when they might be able to continue their journeys. Families huddled together on benches, business travelers anxiously checked their phones for updates, and children tried to make the best of an unexpected adventure. The sense of helplessness was palpable as the hours dragged on. As night fell, airport floors became makeshift beds for hundreds of weary travelers. Some used coats and scarves as pillows, while others tried to find comfort on hard, plastic chairs. Rebooking lines stretched for hours, with travelers desperate to find any available seat on a departing flight. Airline staff worked tirelessly, but the sheer volume of disruptions made it nearly impossible to keep up. Outside, ground crews waged a relentless battle against the elements. De-icing trucks worked around the clock, spraying wings and clearing runways, but the snow and ice kept coming. For every plane that was cleared, another was quickly covered again. The fight to keep the airport operational was a losing one, as nature proved to be a formidable opponent. With planes and crews out of position, the logistical challenges multiplied. Even after the snow finally stopped falling, it took time to get aircraft and staff back where they were needed. The backlog of delayed and canceled flights meant that the effects of the storm lingered long after the skies had cleared. For airlines, the recovery was slow and painstaking. It took days to rebook passengers, reposition planes, and restore normal operations. Travelers waited anxiously at gates, watching as planes finally began to depart, one by one, into the wintry sky. Relief was mixed with exhaustion as people realized just how much the storm had upended their plans. For many, the holiday ended not with joyful reunions, but with frustration and fatigue in crowded terminals. Families, who had hoped to celebrate together, found themselves separated by hundreds of miles, while others spent precious holiday hours waiting in line or searching for lost luggage. The emotional toll was as real as the physical discomfort. In the end, the storm exposed just how fragile our travel networks can be. A single weather event was enough to bring the entire system to a standstill, reminding us all of the unpredictability of travel and the resilience required to get moving again. On the ground, travel was just as perilous. Major highways became whiteout zones, with visibility near zero and roads slick with ice. State police urged everyone to stay home, but many who ventured out quickly regretted it. Accidents and jackknife trucks blocked roads, stranding drivers for hours. Plows couldn't keep up with the relentless snowfall, and rural roads became impassable. Powerful winds followed, creating drifts that reburied cleared roads in minutes. Emergency services were stretched thin, responding to hundreds of calls. The journey home became a multi-day ordeal for thousands. The storm was a harsh reminder of winter's power over our roadways. As the storm passed, Arctic air swept in, freezing everything solid. Roads turned to sheets of black ice, and snowdrifts became rock-hard barriers. The cold was dangerous, prolonged, with real risks of frostbite and hypothermia. Cities opened warming centers for those without heat, as wind chills plunged even lower. Blowing snow and strong winds kept roads hazardous, prolonging the misery. Cleanup was slow and difficult, with frozen snow resisting plows and salt. It took days for life to return to normal. The storm's icy grip lingered, a chilling end to the holiday weekend. When a big storm is coming, preparation is key. The safest move: stay indoors and postpone travel if you can. Keep emergency supplies at home and in your car: blankets, food, water, and a flashlight. Charge your devices and listen to local officials for updates. If you must drive, make sure your car is winter ready and pack a survival kit. If stranded, stay in your vehicle for shelter and safety. Check on neighbors, especially the elderly, or those living alone. A little community spirit goes a long way in tough times. Respect the weather, plan ahead, and help each other stay safe. The Thanksgiving storm of 2025 was a powerful lesson in preparedness. Winter weather can upend plans in an instant, especially during the holidays. Build flexibility into your travel, avoid peak days, and have a backup plan. Monitor forecasts and be ready to change plans if a storm is brewing. A little foresight can save a lot of stress. With preparation and patience, we can keep the holidays bright, no matter the weather. Stay safe, stay warm, and always respect the power of winter.